Hi everybody, and welcome to Traveling with Russell, and welcome to Istra. I'm not in Moscow, I'm not at a supermarket, I'm at the Istra Cheese Festival, and we're gonna go have a walk around. There's meant to be 1,000 types of cheese here from 50 regions of Russia. We're gonna go check it out. You're gonna come along, and we're gonna have a nice day. It's a little bit hard to explain where I am for now, but I'm actually at the Istra cheese factory of Oleg Sirota. And he has his own territory here. There's even a petting zoo, and there's a little factory and a restaurant. And the place where I actually am is a very big territory. Now, we don't really want to see too much of the entryway because the main part is through the gates. I'm actually here in the early morning. There's not too many people here just yet. And where we want to go is to the Cheese Festival. Check that out right in front of us. Because I haven't been here before, I really don't know what to expect. I'm literally walking in with you together and walking around and checking it out. I normally scout the location so I can understand what I'm making a video about, but today I'm just going to walk around. It's a very big place, this, so I hope it becomes a nice video. The only thing I did understand before I got here is there's two main pavilions which are right off in front of us, and then on the territory generally there's some food trucks and small cafes and some small shops where people have local produce. Now, the weather isn't amazing today. We can't always have blue skies and beautiful sunny weather, but I think we'll be okay. Everything's under cover and we can walk around, no worries at all. I think I found the right place now, and you can smell the cheese as you walk in, and there is endless amounts of stalls. Now, there is things more than just cheese here, so it is going to be a big part of what we have a look at. There's some cured hams and salamis. There's some dried mushrooms. Have a look at those. Wow, this is like the ultimate cheese rynek. And I can see why everybody recommended that I come here and have a look at what's going on and show the world how much cheese is available in Russia. I probably should have done the warning at the very beginning that if you're hungry, make sure you watch this video later, or go and get something from the fridge and sit down to watch the video, because naturally I'm going to be showing lots of food and lots of tasty, fresh, homemade food as well. Of course, there is endless cheese stalls, and then they have quail right here, or little tiny chickens as I call it. And they've got quail sausage, and they've actually even got quail meat and the eggs. Now, you can see these in a lot of supermarkets, but this is direct from the farmer right here. Have a look at that. Quail sausages. I will confess, I'm definitely not a cheese connoisseur or an expert in cheeses, but I can certainly come and do some tasting and eat some interesting things and discover new products that maybe even I've not seen in Russia before. There is thousands of people here. It's really just so surprising. Now, I knew it was a big deal, but the amount of people here is just insane. As I move from one tent to the other, I really want everybody in the comments to let me know, do they have this kind of festival where you live? Now this one is dedicated to cheese, and we're at a cheese factory. However, there's a lot of other types of food here and a lot of local producers. Now, actually, most of the producers that are here are not specifically from Istra. They're from all over Russia. And please tell me where you live. Is there anything like this where you live? Now, I don't think in Australia we would even have this many companies, let alone able to hold a festival of this magnitude. As I walk out of the different tents and into the next one, there's just crowds that come and go at the different stands. And I really want everyone to tell me, what is the name for a cheesemaker? Is there a certain name for a person that makes cheese? And then for everybody that eats cheese, is there a name as well for this? Maybe like a wine snob? Is there such a thing as a cheese snob? Or somebody that loves cheese that much? Oh, and have a look. Salamis and meats. They've got some different teas and honey. Have a look at all the types of honey over here. How nice is this? Have a look at all the different flavors as well. This is really neat. And I wonder if these are cheese candles. And they have oils and just literally every type of homemade food and locally produced food. Of course, I don't want to insult any of my subscribers and anybody who's watching that might be a cheese connoisseur and really love different types of cheese, because I know we have somebody from everywhere in the world watching and from every region. It's actually even difficult to walk around, and one of the vendors just told me this is a quiet day here today. This is the quieter day of all 4 days of this event. They have some pickled vegetables as well here. Have a look. Wow. It's really just phenomenal, the amount of choices. And you can actually meet the people that actually make the cheese and sell the cheese. Amazing. Walking around inside just now, one of the vendors was actually from France, and he has a Russian wife. He lives in Russia, and he's of course a cheese producer here in Russia with his wife. And he told me that even in France they don't have expos or festivals even close to this magnitude. So it's super interesting that there's such a big event here in Russia, bigger than in a country that's famous for cheese. As I keep walking around, I think it's just nearly impossible to explain what I'm looking at, apart from you watching this on your TV screen or phone, and the amount of vendors and the amount of people here and the amount of interest there is in cheese and other homemade or locally produced food. There is thousands of people here. There's not a few people here, and it's even difficult to walk around. There's of course lots of people doing tasting, which I completely understand. And this is day 4 of the event. So this is actually the last day of this full event that's here. And it's just staggering. I want to get a bit closer to see more products, but it's nearly impossible to even get my camera to get close to one of the stands. Now, there must be obviously so many people that love this locally produced food and different types of food. There's some dried meats right there. Now, there's nobody at the bread stand, but you can even try bread as well. Let's give one of them a try, shall we? As I'm actually walking around and not film, I am actually doing quite a lot of tasting. And because I'm not a connoisseur of a lot of things, it's hard to give my opinion, but bread, I love. And there's so much fresh bread in Russia. You don't need to buy anything that's packaged in the supermarket. You can get normal, fresh bakery bread. Very tasty. This is the actual picture of the owner of this cheese factory, and he's not actually here where I'm walking around. He's somewhere on site, and he has one little stall here. There is actually a cafe, restaurant, and production facility on the territory, but this is all him that set this up and brought all the different people together. Just have a look at the crowds. What I really love about this and walking around and showing this is the people that are selling the products are the people producing and making it. And they've come from all over Russia to this event for this weekend, and you can meet the guys and girls who are producing the products. They understand about every part of the production process and making it, and how hard it is to even sell it and find a market for it in Russia. Have a look at the salamis or kalbasa. Beautiful. How's it going? Thank you so much. So there is actually some Italian style Russian cheese here, and this gentleman is actually from Russia or from Moscow region, but the cheeses he has are Italian style, and they are absolutely beautiful. And I think the main thing when you come to these events is the tasting, and then at some point you do buy something, and everybody's got bags and carrying home lots of goodies. Look at this, I can't even walk through. I really do want to cover as much as I can here, and just the amount of people and the amount of parts that I just can't walk through because it's blocked. It's really difficult. They've also got some different homemade drinks, and a lot of these are kvass, which is quite a well-known drink in Russia. Essentially, it's a beverage or drink produced from bread, and it's essentially a Russian cola, or close enough to it. And they've got lots of sampling and tasting, and then they've also got some microbreweries here set up on this side where you can actually do some tasting, of course, and they've got lots of them on tap, and then you can even buy some cans to take home. How interesting in this, it's just phenomenal. I think someone needs to tell me, at a festival that you've been to, is it this open and this easy to have a drink, have a beer? And all of these different stands are offering tastings and sampling. Obviously, ultimately, they want to sell some products, but a lot of this is about the companies getting their product out to the people and explaining the process of how they make it or which region of Russia they're from. And this one right here has lots of different kvass as well, and then you can buy a bottle to take home. But just like me, I have my tasting cup in hand to do some sampling. I really hope this video is coming out well. It's really me just walking around and showing you the magnitude of this festival. And I had lots of people ask me, am I going to attend it? And here I am to show it to you. So if you've not had a chance to come to this, maybe next year, take a look at the dates and try to get here. There's also some different vendors with dried fish or cured fish, smoked fish. And this is a very popular item in Russia, particularly when you're drinking beer or you're at your dacha, and you don't really need a lot of it. It's really more of a accompaniment that you have with beer, and you eat it with friends, you put it on the table with all the other foods. And just have a look at the choices of them. There is so many different types, and ultimately it's different varieties of fish and then different methods of how they actually cure it. I'm trying to walk through the crowds, but you can see how many people are here. So if you're ever in doubt that people aren't buying food, my videos at shopping centers don't have people shopping and people have empty baskets, and then you come to a place like this and it's literally shoulder to shoulder trying to walk through and see some of the different stands and what they have and sell, and then eventually you can get to a clear spot where you can see all of this beautiful food, all of these salamis. It's amazing. I did warn everybody, of course, that this video is about food and seeing a lot of raw food, a lot of cooked food, and a lot of very famous Russian types of food. And this isn't necessarily things that you eat only at Christmas or New Year. You could have this any time of year, and a lot of people have come to find new products and something that isn't at their local supermarket. I would probably imagine most people that are here are from Moscow or maybe from St. Petersburg, and they've come specially for this event to find one of the 1,000 different cheeses that just isn't in a normal supermarket. So there's not only cheese at this festival, they've got some bees as well. Now, I've actually just posted a photo on my Telegram channel of this apiary, and this nice gentleman talked about the bees and the different honeys that they've got, and there's all sorts of different varieties and bees that are producing honey from in different regions of Russia. And look at the kids. The kids love it to see the bees. Wow, how cool is that? Perhaps I'm in the honey section. I think there is different areas that they've actually sectioned off that are different types of foods, and really from different regions of Russia as well. And you've even got honeycomb right there. This is so nice. Beautiful. Have a look at all the choices and all the people getting samples and trying to decide which one they want. Of course, I wish I could be more technical about the things that I'm seeing, but I think you get the idea of what I'm showing you and the culture of fresh, healthy food and things that are farm fresh products. There is no branded products here. These are all smaller companies or small factories that are producing things. Most of these wouldn't even be in local supermarkets, and a lot of the things that you can buy would be directly from them, and they can ship it within Russia, of course. So I do hope this is interesting and I can give you just an insight into what one of these food festivals looks like in Russia. I've just decided to go for a bit of a walk around and get out of the cheese section for a while. And I think I've come across the alcohol tent, and at least there's lots of different wines here and ciders and lots of microbreweries. and it's a little bit difficult to even get close to the different stands. And of course everyone's doing sampling. I really hope everybody's not driving home and they're catching the bus and train like I am. And they're doing all the different sampling. Now, of course, all of this is for sale at the same time as well, but you can definitely get your drinks worth walking around. It's really super interesting. All the different smaller companies. These aren't recognized labels and brands. These are very small microbreweries that are producing the products and offering the samples and tastings. Then again, you can talk to the staff and they can explain about the products and where they've come from. And it's very interesting. Have a look, they've got snails. Oh, these sanctioned snails that are here in Russia. So I really want to get a little bit closer to give you a bit of a feeling of what it's like in this section. And as I'm walking around, it's just crowded with people and everybody doing sampling and learning about new products. After you've had some different wines, they've also got some mussels and clams, and I think oysters as well, which is really interesting. Let's see if we can get a little bit closer and see the snails. You can get snails cooked and ready, and they've got them working their magic right here. Not only do they have all of the tents with the different foods and all of the things that you can sample and buy, they've also got this outdoor area with some food trucks and different stands, and everybody's pretty much having lunch now. I came much earlier to the event thinking it'd be quieter, and there is seriously a lot of people here. And now everybody's slowly making their way around after doing all the sampling and having something to eat. What a setup they've got. All these pallet benches that they made. This is so cool. All of the different food trucks that they've got as you walk around. I've got different types of food. And this looks like a seafood paella of some kind. Now, I'm sure it's a Russian version of that. And they've also got different seafood burgers and different types of fish. So there's more than just cheese here. I'm a little bit in shock. All of these different types of food that you can come and have and taste and find something for lunch. This really is normal Russia. Now, of course, these are yearly events, but they do these all over Russia and they celebrate different things. And really, everybody just doing very normal Russian things on the weekend. Come to a cheese festival, eat as much as you can, and enjoy the company that you've come with. What would a food festival be without shashlik or meat on a stick? And check out these. Very delicious. There's grilled vegetables and then beef, pork. I think also they've got salmon there as well, and potatoes. This is really interesting. They've actually got the barbecue hanging off the side of this truck. Now, the traditional way is to have the guy doing it like this, but there's a second grill on the top there with all the different foods. Fantastic. I just had to come back over to have a look at this seafood dish. And it makes a lot more sense now with all the different seafood ingredients in it. They were literally just setting it up. So how good does this look now? It's probably going to take another hour or so to cook, I think, but beautiful. Perhaps you've heard of plov before, and they do it in these very big bowls right here from Tajikistan originally. And this is the plov master, and it takes quite a while. They've actually got different ones set up. Basically a drum with a fire and this bowl. So over here they've got the meat cooking away, and then the rice, and then you end up with beautiful ladies. I mean, you end up with plov at the end of it. You also get a lady with every dish that you order. So, and this is plov. Now, I've been to Uzbekistan and had plov, and it looks very similar. Walking around, I'm really getting hungry now. Now tell me where you live. And they've got these food stands and stalls. Do they just have the grill open like this? And then over here they're doing khinkali, and they've got the fire literally right in front of us. So if you get a bit too close. Khinkali is like dumplings with meat and juice inside. It's basically very big pilmeni. But of course people will tell me it's not the same thing, but how nice is this? And literally just a fire burning right here, and no worries at all. And have a look, they've even got pineapple on the grill as well. Being that this is actually a working farm, somebody suggested that I come over to the different sheds and have a look at some of the animals. And lots of parents have brought the kids over here to have a look. Now, cows are cows anywhere in the world, right? But I think for a lot of these kids who probably live in Moscow, they probably don't realize maybe where their milk is coming from or where beef eventually comes from. And it's really so nice to come and have a walk through somewhere like this and get as close as you like. You can even feed the cows. How nice. And everybody just getting up close and personal with them. This is so nice. When we first drove in on the bus, I did notice these sheds, but I didn't realize that you can just walk in and get up close with all the animals. We've even got signs here in different languages telling you about what breed they are. And this is so neat. And people even getting selfies with the cows. How cool. This part is really very cool. It's a walk through pen with all the different animals and lots of kids and families coming through. And it's really a little bit of an extension on the cheese factory that's here. So if you would actually come here only for the cheese factory on a day when there's not a festival, you can come and see the different animals. Not all of them very photogenic, of course, but it's nice to see all of these different animals, and literally it's like a bit of a mini petting zoo. Small goats. They even have some sheep here as well, and they say on the signs that they're milking them for the cheeses eventually, and they say that the wool can be used for carpet. Now my wife would tell you otherwise, and they'd be used for Uggs. After a bit of a lunch break and a sit down, I've come back over to these main pavilions where are all of the stands, and it's not any quieter than when I first got here. It's really almost like intense with the amount of people. Of course, everybody wants to taste things. That's a given. And then it's a matter of then deciding which one to buy, or maybe which region you want to buy something from. It's really so interesting to see this amount of people coming to a cheese festival. Now, of course, there's a lot of other things that we've seen more than just cheese, but it's really something else. I didn't expect really this many people, and it's probably hard to even put into perspective how many people are actually here across the entire event. I think it's also difficult to even show you how large the event is and how much of this territory that they're using. It's a very big field out the back of where their main cheese factory is, and there's a very large pavilion that they've actually put up over here, and then there's a second one. Now the sun is really getting very bright in the afternoon now, so it's a little bit harder to get a bit of an idea of where I'm looking. And there's a third pavilion off in the distance. The weather has stayed very nice though. A little bit overcast, so it's not too hot. And then there's also some stands dotted around. And then the wine pavilion is over here in the middle, where you can do the wine and champagne tasting as well, which is really interesting to see. I do hope this video is been interesting. I do, of course, want to get as close as possible to the different types of food that's on offer and show more things, but it's just so crowded that you can't actually get into the cases and see things close up. There's a little break in the traffic every now and again, and then a minute or two later people just crowding around. And it's interesting in one sense that there is thousands of people here, but it's just not comfortable. Imagine you're like this and you want to come to taste cheese, and it's not even possible to get through. And this is the fourth day. This is the last day of the event. I mean, of course, we could have all come yesterday or the day before, but we chose to come only today. They have some gingerbread right there. Very nice. I think maybe an award-winning cheesemaker. Check the trophies out. That's pretty neat. They've won lots of trophies. It's fascinating to see this, and for everyone to experience what a cheese festival in Russia looks like. So I'm actually on the train on my way home now. I'm on my second train. It's actually a little bit easier to get home than it was to come to the cheese festival. I really hope you've enjoyed this video and seeing what a cheese festival looks like in Russia. It was very busy. There was a lot of people there. I mean, I estimate maybe between 10,000 and 20,000 people were at the event today. Over the course of 4 days, maybe even more people as we come to the next station. And there's a train at the other side of the platform as well. So yeah, let me know in the comments what you think. Are you a cheese fan? Do you love cheese? Now, if you've reached the end of the video, you've become a cheesehead. I think that's another expression for a cheese lover. So let me know if you're a cheesehead or not in the comments. If you want to follow me on Telegram, there's a link coming up right now. You can click that. And if you want to see an old video, if you want to see a train video, I'll put that as the next link coming up, and you can keep traveling with Russell. Thanks everybody. I'm off on another adventure. Bye.